Shalom, everyone. I wanted to first open the space by acknowledging and giving gratitude to the Most High Yah for creating a sacred space for us to share wisdom. I give thanks to our head, Chief Yuya, for the beautiful opportunity we have to reflect his good light. We're so very thankful. With that being said, welcome to our first episode. We'll be following up Chief Yuya's Sabbath Insights. For those who have not seen the insights that Chief has taught so far, you can view those on his YouTube channel at Chief Yuya.
Excited to be here and to share and build on one of the Sabbath Insights. Today's episode is going to be on our Father. So, yeah, I guess we can jump right into it.
Yes. We were just sharing and building on some of the lessons that we've learned and just, thinking about all the different experiences we've had and in terms of like the lesson that we just learned. So one of the things that we were speaking about was the idea of forgiveness. And how that is an important step towards connecting with the Creator, because you can't connect if you haven't forgiven your brother or sister. So I'm sharing like some experiences, like having to write down some people's names, like.
Yes. Well, let's just kind of go through, like, the Our Father prayer. I think a lot of us are familiar with the Our Father prayer. I know for me, I was taught it at a very young age, like probably like 4 years old, in our daycare center in my neighborhood where I grew up. And we had to know how to, we had to recite the Our Father prayer every dawning and every evening. But one of the great things that Chief broke down when he was going through the lesson was the piece at the very end where Yahweh Shai was talking about forgiveness. And just saying how, it's very important to forgive if you want to be able to connect with the Most High, and just what all that entails. And I will say it really resonated with me, I know for sure, because I really want, to be in a space where I'm able to connect with the Creator and to function as a helpmeet, of course, being a part of House of Yuya. But it took a lot of just reflecting, right? Really going back and thinking about, where am I holding space within myself for people that I haven't forgiven, and for years and years of, things that I've just bottled up inside. And, it made me think about, I wonder how many other people are going through this, how many other young women are going through this, and they may not have a space where they're supported in that way, where someone is really breaking down and teaching them how to forgive, and hey, this is a safe space for you to be open and honest about, maybe people in the past that you still haven't let go and forgiven. Right. So, so
just so important. Yeah, that's definitely so important. I also had to look back, like, is there anybody that you are holding a grudge, anybody that you're angry at or anything? I've recently connected with some family members that I haven't spoken to in years, so it's been beautiful reconnecting and like learning, because sometimes you like, I'm out the door, like I don't want anything to do with you, and then you come to find out it's like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best thing to do. Maybe I could have asked more questions, or I just was in my emotions. So like having to go back and revisit and have those conversations of like, why'd you leave? And just having to face like, okay, the thought process of like why we're holding grudges against people, because sometimes it's like, does it make sense? Or like, so.
It doesn't. I would say, I know I shared in the house, just about my process since the teaching of the Our Father prayer, and just diving into my connection with my parents, and having to forgive my mother. That was very, very hard, and it's a process. That's something that I do want to say. It is a very long process for some people, especially when you're, you've been just living inside of a culture or a society that, thrives off of like broken families, you know what I mean? So I know a
Right.
lot of us have experienced that. So sometimes we don't necessarily understand, that our parents are, they're people who
Right.
had lives before us, and sometimes they don't always get it right, or we don't know everything that transpired before they even had us. So we
Right.
don't understand, but there does come a point where you do have to forgive, and I had to go through that process. And one of the things that I can say that I discovered, or that I began to understand, when I truly got to that place of saying, you know what, I'm forgiving, my mom for this specific. I was very specific about what I was choosing to, well, not choosing, but I was just very specific on what I was forgiving her for.
Yeah.
And in that process, you realize, the very thing that I'm holding a grudge against her,
Mhm.
I actually turned around and did it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So it puts you in a different, frame of mind, because that part where it says, forgive, forgive us as we're forgiving those who trespass
Right.
against us.
Right.
It puts you in that space of realizing, like, man, if I'm withholding, something from this person because they hurt me, or they did this specific thing, what if
Yeah.
the Most High was to withhold his grace and his, mercy from
Right.
us because we just turned around and did the same thing to one of his children? If we understand that science of the omnipresence of the Most High, then we know that, everything and everyone comes from the Most High.
Right.
So who are we to withhold that? So
Yeah.
it was just it was a beautiful thing to go through. It was hard, and it's still something that has to be worked on, but I'm very grateful for that lesson, that part of the lesson.
Yeah, and it's humbling too, because it's like,
Yeah.
who am I to like hold a grudge against someone if the Most High is so kind, so forgiving, so merciful? It's like, and I can't.
For
Like, who
sure.
am I to not model that? If I'm saying that I'm a child of Yah,
Right.
you know. So it's like, oh, that's that arrogance and pride,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
that is no good.
Another thing that I will say is forgiveness. A lot of times I would say, just with youth, or
Mm,
younger people, um, you get a lot of questions like, well, how? And when you're looking for clarity, I know I was one of those people. A lot of
mm,
times people say, oh, you need to forgive, you need to forgive. And sometimes it's very hard, and you'll ask those innocent questions like, well, how do you forgive?
right,
How do you actually do that?
right.
Everybody says it, but it's like, how do you actually do that? And I just thought that was something, because a lot of times people actually don't know how to forgive. People really don't know. They know that you're supposed to, because, well, it's written in scripture, you're supposed to do that, but
Mhm.
oh, how do I actually do it?
Right,
um
right.
yeah, I think it does take that understanding of really just reflecting and really seeing, like, just how kind, the Most High is, and how gracious he is, for you to really just get to a place where you understand how you look at and view forgiveness. So
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to
Yeah.
share with everyone that GPI has done a whole series on forgiveness on Enlightenment and Transformation YouTube channel. So go check them out.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very
Yes. Yes.
powerful. Very powerful. There were so
Yes.
many lessons taught in Our Father, and I would say for me, one of the lessons that I took was like always staying in the presence of the Most High.
Mm.
And I would share just for those, like, if you ever, like, I don't know, like, for anyone listening, if you ever had a vision and receiving that vision and trying to stay on the path of like, okay, I have faith in this vision, I'm on that track and staying on there, because from what I've learned from Chief, he has a whole segment on vision on one of the commanded days on his YouTube channel, and he speaks about like how those distracting energies like kind of come in and they kind of like take you off the path, but
Mhm.
staying in the presence of the Most High and saying like, nope, I see the vision. I'm on that narrow road. I'm gonna stay on that path. Sometimes it can be difficult, but like one of the ways to stay connected with the Creator is to stay in prayer. That was one of the things that she mentioned, like staying in prayer constantly, all day, every day. And it's like we were speaking about like how like our mental thoughts create like our external reality, and like sometimes we'll have those thoughts of like we'll be focused on the wrong things. Like some people, they're like, oh, these people out here doing this and doing that, and it's like, okay, well, why is that your focus? Like, why is that in your mind? Like what other people are doing, to the point that it bothers you.
Right.
So that's like, it can be a distraction to your connection creator or your purpose,
It's that thing of just constantly meditating on, the law or the scriptures. And it makes me think of the scripture that says, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. And, further along, it goes to say, like, he meditates on the word, the law, day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the riverside. So it's like, whatever's in your head and whatever's in your thoughts, that's kind of what you see in the world. And if you have the law of the Most High in your thoughts and you're constantly meditating on it, then when you're walking through the world, you're going to see the presence of the Most High. You're going to see it. You're going to see it in people. You're going to see it in nature. I know Chief has mentioned that before, but it's true. It's really true. If you really meditate on those laws and you're constantly moving and functioning within them, you're gonna see.
And Chief always speaks about like the moving with that first eye vision and being able to like see things for what it really is and not for what they appear to be. But it speaks about that, like the information is supposed to make you smarter, so it's like you should be able to see the hypocrites, like the fake, from the ones that are real. So I just think about like having that connection and being able to see what's what. You can see, like you were just speaking of, like you can see when someone has a spirit versus when they do not have it, based on you like meditating on the laws and just being able to witness.
And what spirit are we talking about? The Ruach HaKodesh. So very specific. Be very specific. Even in prayer, I think that was something he touched on. Being specific, knowing what you're gonna say before you say it. You know what I mean? And even in that process of forgiveness, being very specific on what you're forgiving a person from, I think it makes a lot of difference. So when you talk about that spirit, specifically the Ruach HaKodesh.
Yes. And we don't deal with spookism, so
right. No. For sure.
Even when like spotting, like calling out people's like different like isms or like demons, if you will, being able to call it by its name. Chief also teaches that as well, like being able to identify, like, okay, that's that sort of spirit. It's not spookism. It's like, okay, that's the spirit of Jezebel, or that's the spirit of Ahab. Being able to say it, like call it and say what it is, speak the truth.
Call it out. Be very specific, for sure.
At Anu Life Global Ministries, we aim to restore family and culture in line with the design of the Creator. Your contributions help support our various programs and ministries, from spiritual retreats, community outreach, literary publishing, supplies for our work in Ghana, and much more. Visit our website and donate today at www.anulifeglobal.org/give. You can make a healthy impact too.
Yeah, even like looking at he taught about the glory and the power forever. So that's towards the end of the prayer. But he talked about the glory, meaning like transfiguration, like transformation, like change, and being able to have that excitement for life. And it's like sometimes you can see that deadness in someone when the spirit is not there. It's just a sad thing, of course, but like if there's no change, then it's like, how is their life? Because life, it grows, it evolves. Like life teaches that it's constantly growing and evolving. That's a part of life. But when that's not happening, then it's going to be like a deadness. A spirit is not going to be there.
It's not. And then, you think about everything that you do. It's like if the spirit behind whatever it is that you're doing is dead, then you're not going to produce anything that's fruitful. And one of the commandments that the Most High gave us, if we go back to Genesis in the beginning, is to be fruitful and to multiply. So, if we're not filled with that spirit of life, that spirit, that Ruach HaKodesh, then, nothing that we that's being produced is going to be of life. It's probably not going to really affect others,
Yeah, and that absolutely, and that reminds me of Proverbs 31. So
yes.
it ties directly into our femininity, our womanhood, and what we're striving towards, here in our new.
Yes.
So yes, like how was she able to do all the stuff that she was doing, right? And you were sharing and speaking about that, like having that spirit.
Having that spirit. That was something that I was just really meditating on, as things are, as you're learning and you're growing, you start going back to certain scriptures and you're like, I remember a lot of people just being like, that's impossible. Like no woman can do all of those things. And, but when you really think about it, it's just like what Chief would say, he's like, people wonder how is he able to do so many different things?
Yeah.
It's because he has the spirit, he's filled with the spirit. And it's the same thing for the Proverbs 31 wife, mother.
Yes.
She has the spirit in her, and that's why she's able to do all of those things, and I just think it's a beautiful thing to strive towards, and that's something that I really, I wish I had, when I was younger, really had that. But that's something that, when we think about youth or, the young women coming behind us, it's like, how do we position ourselves as young women and help me to Chief, to be that example and say, this is what we're striving for and this is what you should strive for as well. It's so needed. It's so needed.
It is, because out there, like that's why we speak about being set apart, because out there, like what they deem as like a great woman is totally different than what we value. Like totally out there, different. It's like all about the independent woman. Like some people say, like, oh, I'm a superwoman. I can do so many. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But it's like the Proverbs 31 woman was a wife and a mother. She had a family. Okay, so it's like that,
which means there had to have been some being fruitful and multiplying, because she's, if we are the physical manifestation of what's going on in heaven, that's represented by man, woman, child. That's what she taught us. So if you see in that, then you're seeing a woman who's, she's on it. Like she's on it,
Right. So. That's real fruit. Because Chief was talking about that, like, oh man, it was in the Sabbath build on the eye and the body. It was on the eye and the body. He was talking about like wealth, like riches and wealth, and the difference between like the evil eye and how it's about like money and things like that. But like the real wealth comes from what it is that you like. It comes from the Creator. So I don't want to like I'm flowing right now, but that's what just came to my mind. Like, and I just think about like the vanity and like, okay, if I go to school and I get all these accolades, like what does it really mean? Like what is it like in the long run? Like what does it really mean? But when you have family, you have children, you're actually building something, then that legacy goes on, even when you're not here anymore on this earth. So it's like, but just achieving things just for the sake of achieving and saying like, oh yeah, I'm a great woman because I did this and did that. It's like, okay, but what does it amount to though? Like what is like what value does it really have?
I think about one of the things that Chief mentioned. I don't exactly remember the episode or the podcast or what it might have been, but I remember him kind of briefly mentioning like when your soul gets ready to ascend and it doesn't matter like how many skills you learn at work or it doesn't matter. It matters like, were you a good person? You know what I mean? So as we're learning about the Our Father prayer and how to affirm and how to pray and how to connect with the Most High and all of those things. It's like what you always go back to that question as to why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Your intentions. Why are you doing this?
Right.
And I think for some people, sometimes people will do it because it's like, well, I was told this is what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And it's not very, fruitful, I guess. But then there are some people who are really just like, no, because I really want to be a good person. That's just what I really want to be, So it's just something to think about as well. I think a lot of us have probably came from that background where we went to church or, and so, you kind of get the wrong perception as to what the Our Father prayer is and what it really means to be a good person and, to be successful and all these things. So, yeah.
That's a really great point that you brought up, because one of the things that we learn is that, like, the Our Father prayer was given, but it was said, like, this is like an example of how you pray, like, but it's not to be like, we don't do vain repetition. Yeah. So it's like people are very like vain. It's like, okay, I'm just doing this repetitively, but it's like how real is that? Like, how real is that really?
Really, it's not.
I think about even the experience of learning how to affirm. It's like when you're in the face of the Creator, and it's time to be honest. I know I found myself like stuttering. It's like, oh, I'm in a presence, and I'm having a hard time, like, speaking the truth. But I think that's just a testament of like, okay, me assessing like, okay, how is your relationship with the Creator? Where are you? And realizing like, oh, you haven't had a connection. So like, the journey is still to continue on with establishing that connection. And, all of the segments that she has been doing has been very powerful, one after the other. And we're going to continue to build on all of them. But in this episode, we spoke about Our Father, but they all are so very powerful.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, before we kind of wrap things up, I just wanted to ask, like, maybe what are some ways that you're learning how to affirm, or what are some things that you're doing, or maybe share some tools to just, get better at affirming, get better at praying and communing with the Most High. You want to share?
Yes, I know one of the things that she taught, he gave a formula for how to pray. So first we acknowledge the Creator, we give thanks, we give a confession, and then we give a supplication. So following that formula is something that I keep like, okay, make sure you're following this formula. But that's for the prayer, how to pray. But for affirmations, I went back to the segments that she did on positive affirmations, listened to the segments that he did when he was affirming, and wrote down everything that was said. It's like, it's like we starting at ground zero. It's like, okay, let me listen to those who do know how to affirm and just like get an understanding of what that looks like, for someone that actually does have a connection. That's where I went. And then also reading scripture and really connecting to what's being said. And also being led by the Most High, making sure like every day when I wake up, like asking myself, like, okay, you're being led. So like remove your will and allow yourself to be led each and every day. So it's not about your wants and your desires. Take that out.
The will of the Most High.
That's like, okay, where you to? I'm following you. It's not me. So I think all of those tools are part of everything that you taught. Is like a part of the tools that I look at and use in terms of like the mindset that I move with, like keep it in mind, every single day.
Wow, yeah. Definitely that stripping of humanity, for sure. It's not my will, but your will. So, wow. Yeah.
How about you?
For me, one of the things that I've been doing lately is really reflecting and looking back, like, a lot of things have changed, right, within the last couple of months, I know for me. But being able to look back and see, man, the Most High has blessed me with an opportunity to grow in understanding. You know what I mean? I may be able to kind of reflect and say, man, I didn't understand that a month ago or a year ago, but now I understand this now, or I've felt lonely at one point, but now I have some sisters and I have, some people that's on this journey with me, or, I'm not alone. And, so being able to take the time and really reflect and see just where the Most High has brought you and how the Most High has protected you and covered you, especially when you were just lost. So that's been part of it for me. Like, that affirming is really taking the time to really reflect. And sometimes it's just over the day, what if you're really in the presence of the Most High, you'll notice throughout the day, like you're gonna be learning different things, and it's like, man, I woke up this morning only knowing this much, and I'm going to bed tonight knowing this much more. Right? So every day, every moment, it's like you realize, man, every moment is a moment to affirm with the Most High. But if you really are connected and you're really paying attention, you'll see that. So that's one of the ways, and that's being present in the moment, which is such a gift. I've heard Chief say that. So so that's one of those ways. And again, the forgiveness part, because sometimes you just, I'm gonna always go back to that, because that was just the biggest part for me. It was like, forgive, girl, forgive, let it go. So that was, I'll say that. Well, I guess we're gonna close out, but
we got a challenge. Yes,
we do have a challenge. Yes, so we're kind of refurbishing a activity that Chief did a few years ago, when he was touching on that topic of forgiveness. And I hope those of you who are watching will, use this tool or use this exercise, and may it be a gateway to forgiveness for you. So one of the things that he suggested is that you make a list, write a list of people who have wronged you in the past, or yesterday, today, whatever it is. But just make that list of everyone who's holding space in your heart. It doesn't matter if it's big or little. Like, I know on my list, I did this challenge as well. On my list, I had like this girl named Precious from first grade who was like, it was a group of us walking home, and she just ran up on me and we got into a fight. Like, and I'm like, I am not a fighter. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So I was really hurt about that, But I was like, oh, okay, I need to let that go, because 6 years old, come on. So, I mean, whatever you got to do, but write that list of people and really, sit and see, like, man, all these people are holding space in my heart, and begin to really, like, say what it is that those individuals might have done, and really start to go through that list and forgive them. And I guarantee you, if you be specific, if you be very specific to a T, you probably will see where you may have done the same exact thing to somebody else. So, it's very important to let it go. Very much so. And that's how you clear up that space so that you can receive the spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh. So that's the challenge, and if you want to, of course, you can share that with us. I think we have the comment section on there. You can share, what your experience was like when you went through the process of forgiveness and writing that list, if it was hard, or share it with us. Right. Yep.
Yeah, follow us on our social media pages, House of Yuya. Post your comments there too. We'll be posting content there as well.
Yes. Follow us. And if you are interested, I don't know if you are, but if you are interested in being a part of the community in the ministry, we want you to visit ournewlifeglobal.org, and you can sign up to become a member. And we would love to have you, of course, always welcoming new people into the space. And so, anything you want to say to close us out?
Absolutely. I just give thanks for anyone that comes across this video. Again, leave comments and engage with us. We want this to be interactive. So
For sure.
thank you for joining our first episode with House of Yuya.
First
Until the
one.
next time.
All right.
All right.
Peace, everyone. Peace.
Join sisters from the House of Yuya on episode 2, Biblical Preparedness. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe all platforms House of Yuya.